If training for more than 3 hours a week would give me better results, I would train for more than 3 hours a week. And if you take a good routine and remove all the unnecessary waste from it, what you're left with is 3 hours or less. And that equates to working out 3 days a week. And I know this because I've been training this way for the past 5 years and seen this work for tons of people that I've helped along the way, across all different ages and backgrounds. Okay, so what does that training actually look like? What is that small little portion of your exercise routine that actually drives your results? And how can you go right now and apply this to your workout routines, even if you have very little experience or no training at all? We're gonna identify that small portion of deep work that actually drives strength gain, increased muscle mass, and body composition. And we're gonna go through live demos so you can really feel what it's like to train with maximum efficiency and see the best results in the gym with the least amount of time. And if you're new to this concept, real quickly, our goal in building a world-class body really fast and efficiently is increasing our maximum strength on the 5 basic principal lifts. And once we get that strength to a high enough level, the byproduct of that is ample muscle mass and having a body composition that's easy to maintain. And we obviously have the strength and mobility to do things on a high level for everyday life. If you want to exercise for fun or cardio or endurance, you can do that after. Our first priority for a strong, really good looking body is to achieve these strength goals. So you just have to take 3 hours a week or work out for 3 days out of the week for 1 hour a day, and then you can do whatever you like. In order to stimulate your body to grow, you have to push your body past its maximum strength threshold. And this threshold is the maximum amount of force or energy that you can exert into a movement. But the problem is 95% of people's workouts are spent in this smaller area where they're not exerting as much power. And unless you find a way to actually identify your upper threshold, your maximum threshold, you will never stimulate your body to grow. And I argue that it's within this range that you will actually grow, approaching and or touching your maximum power threshold. And I'm going to go through what that looks like for each of these main compound movements. And if we're smart about how we're training, we can change that 5% of optimal power exertion into 90% so that we're optimizing the time that we spend in the gym and the optimal output that we give. And this is the key to not only achieving elite results, but doing it in a short period of time. You can visualize this in doing a push-up. If you've tried to do a push-up, you know that it can be hard if you're a newbie. But if you're in that situation, try pushing up from nothing and you realize that that is your sticking point where you have the most difficulty. Now, instead of trying to do a raw push-up, involve your knees to help stabilize you, give you the balance, and help you to finish the movement. Now, slowly involve more and more of your knees as you get to the top of the movement. And you'll see that that assisted support is what helps you to actually finish it. Now, once you found that sticking point, which is where your knees are helping you finish the rest of the movement, that's what you need to focus on in conquering yourself. And eventually, after working hard enough on that sticking point, you'll be able to do it on your own without that much help from your knees. And as time progresses, the sticking point will get lower, lower, and lower until you're able to do a push-up all raw naturally by yourself. So if you like this and you need help applying this to your training, get in contact with me in the first link down below. A second good example of this is the pull-up. If you try to do a pull-up, you'll notice that if you don't have enough arm strength, core strength, and back strength, you're gonna have a hard time pulling your body weight up by yourself. But if you use some kind of band or assisted pull-up machine, you can find that bottleneck or that sticking point, which is what you have to focus on. And from then on, you should just focus on lowering and lowering and lowering the help or assistance, which will help you to get past that bottleneck. Now, applying the same principles to the squat, if you're not able to squat ass to grass, you surely need to develop some of the core muscles that help you to complete a squat. Now, in order to actually complete a squat, you have to find where the bottleneck is stopping you from extending and going lower past 90 degrees. And most people have a hard time getting their butt past 90 degrees on the descent. So putting some kind of pad or block right below your butt and sitting right at the point where your butt touches the pad and you can sit on it before exploding up will help you to get past that bottleneck. Later, you can remove parts of the block or pad until you're able to do a full squat. Now, what do you do for bench press or a pressing movement like overhead shoulder press? See, these are very hard movements that take a lot of time to actually master. And if you're stuck at one plate or you can't even bench the bar, this is how I went from benching one plate to 2 plates to 3 plates and almost 4 plates now. Mind you, when I started, I couldn't even bench one plate. It was the most embarrassing thing. But I focused on my bench press bottlenecks and my sticking points to the point where I went from benching 2 plates to 3 plates in the span of only 3 months. So if you're not even able to bring the bar down to your chest and all the way up and rep out some reps at a weight that you can do 5 to 10, then you need to lower the weight and use a block and put it between your chest and the bottom part that the bar will touch when you come down. This will help give you the explosive power to finish to lock out the rep and give you the confidence to actually go all the way down and lock out at the top. The hardest part of the bench press is locking out. So focusing on that bottleneck will help you to do full bench press reps and not be so scared that it's gonna fall and need a spotter. And that's the whole goal of this. The goal is to increase our strength on the key principal lifts. But if you focus on the bottleneck, which is usually getting the bar off the ground without hurting your lower back, then you'll be able to fully lock out without hurting your back. And you can do this by putting 2 cushions on each side of the bar that has the weights on them. So once you put the barbell down, it will rest on top of these cushions. And there will be a point where the more cushions you add, or if you're using a rack, the higher the rack stoppers are, the easier it will become. So once you find that bottleneck, work on that and pulling until it becomes easy. Then you can lower the stoppers until the bar is actually touching the ground and you can do a full deadlift. Now, the most common mistake I see people doing is rushing through this and skipping steps. You need to do this in a gradual way where you are conquering each and every bottleneck. And if you rush this, you will also risk injury. We never want to get injured while we are chasing our strength goals. You have to push through slowly so that you can beat and push against your sticking points and your bottlenecks so you can see the real results. That's where the real results come. So you're chasing each inch and then you allow yourself to get it and then you adjust, because each point in the range of motion is going to require a certain level of difficulty. So apply these principles to each of the 5 compound movements and you'll realize that the maximum effort that you're putting in is going to have the maximum efficiency if you're working within the range of maximum output, as we discussed when I was talking on the whiteboard. And this will result in you only having to be in the gym sometimes just 45 minutes as opposed to 1 or 2 hours, which most people spend in the gym. I personally spend 45 minutes to 1 hour in the gym, and I make sure that my time is maximized by approaching my maximum output threshold, and that's where I've seen the most amount of growth in the gym. So in total, I'll train 3 times a week at 45 minutes to 1 hour per training session. So I'm able to do a lot more with the rest of my life and still grow and maintain my dream physique, which is what you guys want to do too. You don't want to be a slave to the gym and spend every waking moment obsessing over it. You want to live a normal life. You want to go do the things you want to do. So doing this week over week will give you the progressive overload to make your body grow, and you'll see big results, especially if you're resting and eating properly. So if you liked this and you need help applying this to your training, your routine, you want to spend less time in the gym, but you want to have maximum results as possible for your physique, get in contact with me in the first link down below.